Hello, everyone. Let me know if you have my audio so we could start the Q&A. We have a whole bunch of questions by patrons, and then I might spend some time on answering some questions in the live chat, and then I'm going to post the link for any members who would want to who might want to come up and talk to me live on air. But if not, that's okay. This channel, I'm going to spend as much time on it so that we could get a few members eventually, so that more members come and hang out with me, like the Atheist Republic channel that we do. Hopefully, oh yeah, there we go. Ibn Qayyim is saying, we have audio. Good. All right. So let me start with the patron questions. By the way, if you want me to answer your questions, you could become a patron. Link to our Patreon is in the description. And if you would like to come live on air and talk to me during these Q&As, you could become a YouTube member. Okay, so patrons get to post their questions before the stream, and I answer the questions. YouTube members come up live on air, and we have an interaction live on air. So that's the different benefits for the patrons and the YouTube members. Link to both of those are in the description. All right, let's just go through the patron questions, and here's the first one. So first patron question is from Creationism Slayer 3000. I like that name. Oh, by the way, Ibn Qayyim in the live chat is saying, thanks for doing the stream at this time. Perfect for UK. Yes, I'm going to do the Q&As around this time. So Atheist Republic will be at the other time that is mostly works for the Americans and Canadians. Secular Jihadists, I'm going to do the Q&As mostly around this time. That just works better for our Europeans and maybe Iranians as well, because I'm going to do a lot more shows on Iran as well. All right. Anyways, let's get to the first patron question. Creationism Slayer 3000 is asking, several years ago, a friend of mine was diagnosed with cancer. And just last week, the doctors told him the treatment has run out and his time is very short. As an atheist and a materialist, I do not believe in any afterlife or reincarnation, and I'm finding the thought of my friend being gone forever very tough. Oh wow, this is a heavy one, right? How do you think about and cope with death and loss as an atheist? How do I think about death and cope with it as an atheist? Okay, so there's a couple of methods. I lost my mom, and there are a couple of things that could help. And different ways of thinking works for different people. Okay, so I'm going to go through all of them. Hold on. Let me get something that I have ready for some moments like this. All right. First, here's the thing. I'm going to go through a few points, and some of them might not resonate with you, and some of them might even do worse than resonate with you. It might be like, well, that's even more horrible to think about it like that, right? But it's a list. So I'm going to go through the list, and the ones that don't resonate, you could just like, well, that doesn't help. And the ones that might help, you could just, focus on those. Right? So the first one that worked for me is that I do not cope. So you're saying, how do you cope with death and loss as an atheist? I mean, why should I cope? It's a loss. It's a tragedy. Let me grieve. One thing I notice is that when people go through a tragedy, instead of accepting the tragedy as something tragic, they try to numb the pain. But it's a tragedy. It's supposed to hurt. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you go through the grieving process and come out of it the other end. The more you try to numb the pain, the more you're going to be in the painful zone. Just grieve. Just understand that this sucks. Like there's no turning it around and looking at it in a positive way. Like a lot of people try to come up with these ways looking at it positively. There is no way. Like it's a horrible situation. You love this person and they're not here anymore. Like all this mumbo jumbo about like, oh, they're at peace now. They're not at peace. They're not alive. How could they be at peace? They do not exist. This was a person you cared for and they're not here anymore. That sucks. Accept the fact that that sucks. Life sucks sometimes. Okay? And like, oh, some atheists like, oh, their energy now. Their energy will remain in the universe, in nature. So does the energy of my fart. Okay? I do not just energy, like, what are you talking about? Am I supposed to like have emotional feelings for my lamp? We do not love people because of their material or the energy that makes them. We are in love with them because of the way that the energy and matter comes together and forms them, not the energy itself. It's like saying like their energy and matter and their energy lives on is like as nonsense as saying like, well, why are you watching this movie and not that movie? They're both zeros and ones. Like, yeah, but these zeros and ones are in a form that I like, and those zeros and ones are in a form that I don't like. The energy that forms us is not what we're in love with. Okay, so that's nonsense. Don't try to dress it up. This is horrible. Just grieve. And this is what I hate. One thing I hate about religion. They try to dress up the grieving process. Grieving is healing. Well, I just came up with that. Yeah, grieving is healing. Go grieve so you could heal. It's a painful, and you're supposed to cry about it. You're supposed to be upset about it. Just express that emotion. Don't you be like, oh, how could I make this more painful? You can't. Just go through the pain. Go through the pain. All right, so that might not resonate with you at all because basically I said, how do you cope? I said I don't. There's no coping. Okay. Life is supposed to be painful sometimes. Don't try to dress it up. Accept the pain. Let me see what else. I think that's all I have actually. I don't like these other points. They're all dressing. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have. Yeah. It sucks. It just sucks, and it's supposed to suck. Just go through it. And okay, one thing I can add to that. Okay, one thing I can add to it is that, first of all, if religion had a better alternative, who gives a crap? It's not like a make a wish. Like it's not like a genie. Like it can't. It's like oh, I wish we didn't die. Okay, well, the universe doesn't give a crap about what you want. Maybe like focus on the things. Well, no, do focus on this pain, grieve. Okay, but at the end of the day, the things that you cannot control are just that. There are things that you cannot control. Okay. Do not try to. You cannot change. Like if you cannot change it, accept it. Focus your mental energy on changing the things that you can control. For example, making this life really matter, given that we know it's the only life that we get. But what I'm saying is that, like, people say, like, oh, but religious people have this. They have this alternative. They don't go through the pain. They do go through the pain. They go through the pain even more because they have this drug called religion, and people like they don't go through some of them don't go through the grieving process like you're supposed to. That is healing. Okay, like the idea of like, oh, they're in a better place. Shut up. Like this is not helping. Oh, their soul lives on. Shut up. I'm in pain. I don't need you to make it better. I just need to understand that this is painful. You could help me grieve, understand that I'm in pain. You're not helping by trying to make it and even religious people that are like, when they're being told, even if they believe it, oh, they're in a better place, psychologically you're supposed to be upset. These words, these words that you think they're comforting, they're like a stab in the chest. Oh, their soul, they're at peace now. Their soul is like blah blah blah. Shut up, cry about it, and anyways. So religion is not helping in any form here, I think, all right? Because naturally, well, I mean, I don't want to do an appeal to nature, but I think it does psychologically helps if you don't nub it. Another thing is that even if, and this is a big if, okay, a beautiful lie helped, which it doesn't, okay, the lie that is religion is not a better alternative. You know what is good about the fact that your friend is dead? The good thing about it is that he's not roasting in hell, okay? Because that is the alternative that religion offers for the vast majority of the people on the planet, okay? My mom is dead, but you know what? Good. You know why? Good, because if she wasn't, she died as an atheist. And she would be screaming in pain right now as we speak. So I'm happy. I'm happy that my mom is dead. No, look at this. I don't agree. Like, okay, so Skyworks. So I don't know this guy. Okay, so Skyworks. I don't agree with any of this, right? You're saying in the live chat, death is the big sleep where complications cease to matter. Okay, well, you're not. If you die, you're not around to notice that you have no complications. This is not comforting. When you're dead, you're not going to appreciate the fact that you have no complications. So this is not helpful. And here's another one. Sorry, I'm highlighting your comments as a way to crap on them, but I'm going to do it anyways. Okay, Skyworks 600 is also saying, sorry, I know. Okay, not to be too mean to you, but this, I do not agree with these, okay? You're also saying, we as beings enter time and space as representatives of a long succession of previous beings and the evolution of their thoughts and ideas. Be a part of the progression and advance. Okay, that's good. That's good. This is focusing on life, okay? We cannot, yeah, I agree with this, okay? We cannot control death. We can't control life. We can't control our life. So I don't know about what you're saying in the first part, but the second part is good. Like, I don't know what evolution, you're saying there, but be a part of the progression and advance of knowledge. Whatever, be a part of something meaningful to you. Okay? Make this life count. I think a lot of us atheists should take death more seriously. And we should take death more seriously because we take life more seriously. Death to us is final, and that means that we are capable of appreciating life the way it should be appreciated. Because as comforting you might find eternal life, you're being robbed if you believe in that. You're being robbed of how meaningful this finite life is, of how much every second counts. And if you just get a few years of extra comfort, just thinking like, oh, I'm going to continue living in heaven, as if that's a guarantee, as if the hell is not part of the equation, that comfort is not worth every second that you did not appreciate because you didn't know that this is the only chance you get at happiness. Anyways. Secular, okay, so Ibn Qayyim tagged Secular Jihadists as saying, Ibn Qayyim, sorry, saying even sadder than death is the fact that many people's lives, okay, let me read this again. Even sadder than death, than death, I think you're saying, is the fact that many people lives. Okay, it's hard to read when the grammar is not good. Many people live their whole lives in absolute misery and then die, whereas others live very fulfilled lives and then die. Let me think about that. Their lives in absolute misery and then die. Oh yeah. Okay, so here's another thing that religion claims to fix, and it's just not true. Okay, there's a lot of life is not fair. Like, there's no afterlife to make unjust things just. Okay, and I think that religion has broken a lot of us to think that the universe is supposed to be fair. The universe is supposed to be just. Okay, like somehow some things need to be fixed somehow. All wrong, like evil people going on. Imagine evil people living really, really good and happy lives, and then dying happy people. Well, that cannot be. They were horrible people. Well, guess what? No, they just lived lives better than you and me could ever even dream of, and they never paid the price. Who says it has to be otherwise? The universe doesn't give a crap about us. Here's another thing. Oh my God, I'm glad I realized this. Thank you, Bankai, because this made me realize that this is important, okay? The fact that the universe doesn't fix things, the fact that the universe doesn't make unjust things just, doesn't make unfair things fair, means that we have to. There is no great plan. There is no laws of the universe that fixes, that punishes evil and rewards good. It's up to us. The great danger of heaven and hell and karma is relying on a universe that doesn't give a crap, and just putting that responsibility, removing it from our shoulders and putting it on something. You might as well put it on the universe. You might as well put it on a piece of rock. So it's not just about appreciating life. It's also understanding that it's only up to us. No God, no karma, nothing. And as much as that might suck, knowing that is important for us to focus on the fact that that we have to make things better, given how much things suck. Saying death is a complete state of unawareness. The big sleep is a metaphorical. You misread, but that's okay. No, I understood you were being metaphorical. I know you understand that. I didn't have. Okay, so I didn't. My issue was not with the sleep part. I understand you don't really think death is sleeping. I understand that. My issue was with the fact that the part that people are like, oh, all your worries go away. It doesn't like that part. The part, like the fact that all your worries go away, is not much comfort, knowing that you wouldn't be around to appreciate the fact that your worries have gone away. That's the part that I was picking at, not the sleep part. A random thought by Uthman here in the live chat saying Shias are not Muslim. I don't know. Okay, well, sure, Uthman. Thank you for canonizing the Quran, by the way, Uthman. All right, let's go to the next question. Rob is saying, how is the Islamic prohibition on riba or interest handled in Iran and other Islamic countries? Is it illegal for lenders to offer loans with interest? Well, I don't know much about most Islamic countries. I know a little bit about Turkey. I know somewhat more about Iran, but we could learn this together. Okay, so I know when I was in Iran, there are banks with interest. You could gain interest on your money. And how do I know that? Is because I opened the bank account and I had interest. And I think I remember I had 24% interest on my savings in a bank account. And you were like, oh my God, 24% interest. That's amazing. How is that possible? Well, if you adjust that for inflation, you realize that's not good at all. In fact, you're losing money. So no, that's not very good. I mean, that's how it used to be. I don't know what the interest rates are now, but that's how it used to be. Now you still have that, but how is that possible? How is that possible? Getting interest on your money, that's illegal. That's haram. That's riba. Is that how you pronounce it? Riba or riba? Or what we know is interest bahre is haram in Islam, and banks in Iran offer it. So how do they do that? It's an Islamic country. How do they allow that? And the way I think they allow that is by acting like it's not interest. But let's actually look at that. So, all right. Okay, let's look at that together. Let's look at this together, and let's look at, for people who might not even be familiar with what we're talking about, let's look at what this is. Really, okay, I'm just going to read it really quickly. All right. Riba. Okay, so I'm reading the Arabic riba, right? Or riba, or riba, all right? Is an Arabic word that can be roughly translated as usury, right? Or unjust I always have a problem with reading this one. Exploitative gains made in trade or business under Islamic law. Okay, this is like not true. We were told like any form of interest is riba. Okay, so yeah, somebody in the live chat is confirming. Yes, they dance around it. They dance around it as if it's not interest or not. Yeah, I don't know. I think you wrote it. Guys, like check your comments before you are posting. Yes, they are. Yeah, so basically they act like it's not interest. But we'll see. We'll read that together, okay? I think that they act like you're making profits off of something. So what my understanding is that they just rename it. Like they act like it's profits, but it's fixed. So it's interest, but it's like, or fees for services. Like fees for services, how is that fees for services? It's basically interest, but they try to this is what Islamic banking is. Islamic banking is just like renaming things that already has a name in a way to act like if it's Islamic. Okay, so it goes, and riba is mentioned and condemned in several different verses in the Quran, and here are the verses if you want to see. And perhaps most commonly in this one, okay? It also mentioned in many hadiths, okay? While Muslims agree that riba is prohibited, not all agree on what precisely it is. It is often used as an Islamic term for interest charged on loans. Yes, this is what I'm familiar with. It's basically interest charged on loans. So basically, if you don't have, by the way, I want you guys to understand, okay? Basically, if you want to have Islam, the entire world economy has to go bankrupt, okay? You cannot have an economy without interest on loans. It's impossible, which shows that the Quran and Hadith are so idiotic, okay? True Islam means the crashing of world economy. This is why, so this question by our patron, over here. So you say when Rob asks, how is the Islamic prohibition on riba handled in Iran? Even without me answering it, or without anyone answering it, you have to guess. If you had to guess, you should guess that they allow interest. Okay, there would be no country that does not allow interest. They have to figure out a way to misrepresent interest, redefine interest as something else, okay? Because every country has an economy, but you wouldn't have an economy if you don't have interest on loans. Like, you wouldn't be able to have projects. You wouldn't be able to do anything. Okay, you wouldn't be able to fund stuff if you don't have interest on loans, right? So, and then continues, and the belief this is based on that there is consequences among Muslims that all loan back interest is riba from the basis of a $2 trillion. Okay, wait. And the belief this is based on, forms the basis of a $2 trillion Islamic banking industry. Oh, okay. So what it's saying, because in Islam they believe interest on loans is haram. By the way, if you read the hadith of the Quran, it's pretty clear. Like, it's one of those things in Islam, in the Quran and hadith, that is pretty clear. Like, you can't dance around it. Interest on loans is haram. Okay, but this has started an industry called Islamic banking, which is worth $2 trillion. And what this industry does is try to find a way to have interest on loans, but use different vocabulary. Because a lot of people think like, oh, so they have no interest, so Islamic banking is banking with no interest. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as banking with no interest. Everything in banking is about interest. So, like, if you're in the finance industry and you want to do business finance with, Islamic countries, you have to become familiar with how Islamic banking is done. And it's mostly just some vehicles around, like financial vehicles around making excuses for why this is not interest. But most people in the finance industry, like, when they go and try to do business with like all these sheikhs and stuff, they have to learn this. They have to understand what Islamic banking is, right? And they have made an industry of doing, like, some people are making money out of knowing the tricks around Islamic banking, right? And it says, however, not all scholars have equated riba with all forms of interest, or agree whether its use is a major sin or simply discouraged or makruh, or whether it is in violation of Sharia, Islamic law, to be punished by humans rather than by Allah. Oh, some people are saying like, oh, it's haram, but maybe you shouldn't do anything about it. You should allow it. Allah will take care of it in hell. Okay. However, let's actually continue this. Let me see. Ibn Qayyim is saying Islam is bad for business. Yep. Every religion is bad for business, but especially Islam. Ibn Qayyim is also saying, hold on. The Imam at our local mosque said it was permissible to pay interest on mortgages, but not on anything else. Why? Where does that, how did they come up with this? Where the hadith says like, oh yeah, every interest, but not mortgages. Yeah, it said riba is haram, but until this day they're arguing about the definition of riba. Yeah, but the way it's used, it makes it very obvious. Like, if you actually go read the hadith and the Quran, it makes it very obvious what it's talking about. Especially to even non-Islamic scholars, it's very clear what it's talking about, because this is a copy of Jewish law, right? Jewish law also has prohibition on interest, and Islam just copied that. I think that's where the source is. But anyways, let's look at this. Let's look at Iran, because the question was about Iran, but I want to mention something about Turkey as well. Okay, actually, let me mention about the Turkey part first, and then we'll go back to Iran. Okay, so in Turkey, this Islamic prohibition has caused disaster. Okay, because in contradiction to every single theory on monetary policy in every country, which suggests that when inflation goes up, the central bank needs to increase interest to fight inflation. In Turkey, there's one person, Erdogan, who thinks it's exactly the opposite. And when you ask him, he thinks like, no, we should lower interest. Like, the inflation is like destroying the economy of Turkey, and instead of increasing interest as you would when you're suffering with inflation, Erdogan is like doing the exact opposite thing, which made inflation even worse, which is reducing interest. And why is he doing that? Is it because of Islam? Are we just being anti-Islamic and we want to blame everything on Islam? No, he said it. He says it's because of his Islamic belief. Okay? So millions of Turkish people's lives are being ruined because of Turkey's economy is suffering from one man's Islamic belief, which is an anti-interest stance that he's taking in Turkey. So I don't know if you guys know this. Yeah, Erdogan needs to go. I agree. Ibn Qayyim in live chat is saying Goldman Sachs said on Friday it expects annual inflation in Turkey to reach almost 80%. What? Before easing to 60% by the end of 2022. Guys, I don't believe these numbers. This is just in the live chat. Somebody go verify these. That doesn't seem right. But I mean, if it is right, then you guys are screwed. But just imagine, like, because when people talk about the cost of Islam, all right, they just like imagine somebody going boom boom because they, but somebody with a belt. I'm not going to say it because you two might think I'm saying something that I shouldn't be, right? But that's what people imagine. But these boring stuff that most people don't pay attention to. These are the true cost of religion, okay? So, for example, if I think about the horrors of Christianity, okay, the first thing that pops into a lot of people's minds is a priest and a child. That's the first thing that comes into people's minds, okay? And that is horrible, okay? And it's a huge cost that we're paying because of religion, but it's not as high as all the people in Africa who are spreading, who ended up spreading disease, or in the Philippines, spreading disease because of the Pope's stance against, condoms, all right? Like, that's not, like, so many people to this day are paying a huge price for that, especially in places where populations are much higher than they should be, and people are suffering. Millions of people are suffering in poverty because, like, partly because of overpopulation, and you're telling the people of that country that condoms are bad, okay? So, but it's boring. Like, more people are suffering from religion through these things, but it's boring. But one person going boom boom in a street, again, that's a big cost, but a very small cost compared to what I'm talking about the millions of people's lives being ruined in Turkey because of one man's Islamic views on interest. Yeah, so Ibn Qayyim is saying Turkey's inflation for the month of May rose by an eye-watering 73.5% year on year. It's the highest in 23 years. Guys, that is insane. Are these real numbers in the live chat I'm reading? That's insane. And again, really bad, like the dumbest of all. Like, every single person that this man put in charge of the finances in Turkey, they were against him. And every time they would try to fix it because they understood that this man is like insane and is just destroying the economy, he just fired them. He just kept on firing them until he found finally a puppet that was just do what he will told him. Because everybody knows, every financial expert in Turkey knows that this man is like insane. He's doing the opposite of what he's supposed to be doing. But his reasoning, like, people like ask him, like, why are you doing this? He says it's because of Islam. Ali Hamad is saying, is there any example of a country being prosperous without interest system? Well, there is not an example of a country without interest, period. Like, let alone prosperous. Like, guys, it's unimaginable. Okay, yeah, a country that is like has no economy, probably. Like, guys, do you understand that for any project you need loans and interest, like, to do anything? No, there is no such example. Anyways. Guys, this is secular jihadists, where we yell about interest. This is where we get passionate about the utilities of loan and interest on loan. This is the channel. This is why you come here. Oh my god. All right. So, Mo, I'm going to have a hard time reading your questions, okay? But I'm going to try, okay? Because Mo has 2 questions. And after that, let me actually post the link to... If you are... oh, actually, no. Before. Wait. Let's go back to this question. I wanted to show you something. Hold on. No. This is cool. Okay. Let's go back to interest. All right, guys, let me know if you have audio. Okay, so as you know, hey, wait, I forgot to talk about Iran. Wait, I have to, before I show this video, let me actually talk about Iran a little bit, see what they do. Okay, here. Monetary policy. So this is Iran's Central Bank of Iran. And if you go to inflation, okay. Where is it? Hold on. So I want to see what excuse they come up with. There we go. Okay. Islamic banking in Iran. So to answer the question, because we forgot to answer the actual question here. Okay. But then I want to show you 2 videos about how the Sunni Shia divide over riba in Iran. Okay. So here, after the Islamic Revolution, the central bank was mandated to establish this is in Iran, by the way, to establish an Islamic banking law. In 1983, the Islamic banking law of Iran was passed by the Majlis. The Majlis is the parliament, okay? This law describes and authorizes an Iranian Shia version of Islamic commercial laws as differentiated from a less liberal Sunni version. According to this law, Iranian banks can only engage in interest-free Islamic transactions, as interest is considered usury or riba and is forbidden in Islam and the Holy Book of Quran. These commercial transactions that involve exchange of goods and services in return for share of the... Okay, so these are... Okay, so this is what they do. These are commercial transactions that involve exchanges of goods and services in return for a share of the provincial profit called mubadala. Okay, mubadala. Okay, in practice, Iran uses what are officially termed as provisional interest rates as rates paid to depositors or received from borrowers should reflect the profits or losses of a business. Okay, so what they're saying is that this is not interest. This is kind of like interest, but you're not getting interest on your loans. What you're getting is that you have like invested in the bank, invested in the business, and these are profit or losses. Okay, so they're pretending like this is not interest, but it cannot not be interest, because if it was profits or losses, then if the bank suffered, your return would be lower, and if the bank did better, your returns would be higher. But you're getting a consistent rate, like you're getting like consistently 24% or whatever they told you. Okay, so by definition, if it's consistent, it would be interest. If it goes up and down, then you invested in them and you're getting profit or loss. If it's consistently the same, then by definition, it's interest on loan. Okay. So under these rules, deposit rates known as dividends, right, are in theory related to a bank's profitability. Yeah, exactly what I said, right? In reality, however, these dividends have become fixed rates of return. Depositors have never lost their savings because of losses made by the banks, and almost never received returns larger than the provincial ex-ante profit rates. Interest charged on loans is presented as fees or a share of corporate profits. Okay, so guys, some people might say like that's not true, Armin. Dividend stocks give you a consistent dividends, okay? But again, it's not set. Like you could buy a stock and it gives you dividend, and then they could decide that, oh, this year we're going to increase the dividend, or that year we're going to reduce the dividend, okay? But when you get a loan and it's supposed to be 20% every year, okay, it's going to be 20% until the loan expires. Like, it's not going to be go up and down based on what the board decides or what the shareholders vote, okay? So that's different. But here, let's go to the criticism, which will tell you probably what I just said. Criticism: critics believe that the Iranian interest-free banking, so see, they call it interest-free banking laws, but they give you interest. So they're just fooling everybody. They're like, they're fooling Allah. They're fooling Allah. They're trying to trick Allah. Okay? Hopefully he doesn't recognize. Hopefully Allah doesn't have a finance degree and he doesn't understand anything you're doing here. Okay? So Iranian interest-free banking law has simply created the context for legitimizing usury or riba. In reality, all banks are charging their borrowers a fixed preset amount at a rate of interest that is approved by the central bank at least once a year. No goods or services are exchanged as part of these contracts, and banks rarely assume any commercial risks. High-value collateral items such as real estate, commercial paper, bank guarantees, and machinery eliminate any risk or loss. Okay, so without the risk or loss, because you have collateral and stuff, this cannot be like profit or loss. Okay, this is loans. These are debts. In case of defaults or bankruptcies, the principal amount this is the key. This is part of like loans. Okay, in case of defaults or bankruptcies, the principal amount, the expected interest, and the late fees are collected through possession and or sale of secure collaterals. Exactly like what you expect with a loan, okay? Because shareholders get paid last, okay? The people that you owe money to as in loan, they are the people that get paid first. Well, the government gets paid first if you owe any taxes, but they're ahead and they come after every collateral that you have, right? But so it's basically walking, quacking, doing everything like a loan and interest on loan. Okay, so that's what people like. You're not fooling anybody. Maybe you're fooling Allah. I don't know. You better be fooling Allah, or else you're gonna burn for all of this. Yeah. Oh, okay. So now what I want to show you is Sunnis dunking on Shias for all these haram interest, usury, riba. Okay. So let me show you just two examples. I'm going to put it on double speed because it's in Persian and you guys don't understand Persian. So you're going to need my translation anyways, right? All right. So this is a Sunni channel, but Persian. Okay. So Iranian Sunnis. There are two main brands of media. One for Iranian Sunnis, right? One is this one, Vasal Haq, I think, and the other one is Kalame. Okay, so if you're a Sunni and you're in Iran, all media is Shia. So to get your dose of Sunnism, you come to one of these two media outlets online, right? So let's see what these people are saying. Let me know if you have the audio from the video that I play. فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون. آسمان گفتن که صاحب کارشون براشون شماره حسابی باز کرده که سود میره روش و گفتن. Okay, so somebody is asking a question, sending their question to this channel. Do you have the audio from? Let me know if you have the audio from the video that I just played. Okay, so they're asking. These are Iranian Sunnis, and they're sending their questions to the host. Okay. And one person asked that my employer had opened a bank account for me, and this bank account has interest on it. So what the hell I do? Like these Shias are forcing me to get interest. What do I do?
ماهی حدود 30,000 تومان سود میره تو حسابشون. با این سودی که از تو حسابشون هست چیکار کنم؟
Like, what do I do with this interest? I don't want to do. I'm a Sunni. Unlike these Shias, I actually care about Islam. What do I do with this interest? Like, first, you have to actually try to open an account that doesn't have interest. But if you can't, and if you're forced to have an account with an interest because of your employer, like if he has forced you to have an interest, then this interest is not at all halal. Okay, it's not permissible for you to have any of this interest. It's completely haram. All the money from that you're making from interest is haram. You are not allowed to use that money. This is riba. This is definitely riba. Like, you have to get rid of this money. You have to make sure that you get rid of this money. Like, this is like, I'm not saying that this is charity, like give it as charity, okay? Because this will not be considered charity when you give it away. Like, when you give this away as charity, like to somebody who needs it, this will not have points, brownie points. It's not a sawab. You will not have brownie points as charity because you're not giving it as charity. You're giving it to get it away from you. Like, so you shouldn't give it away with the intention of doing a good deed Islamically. You have to do it with the intention of getting rid of the money that you got because of interest. Like, you could gift it to somebody, or you could give it to a traveler or a poor person or a prisoner or whoever needs it, or something that benefits the Muslims. If you do this, you have saved yourself from this money. But again, do not do it with the intention of a charitable giving. And he's saying, if you give it away with the intention of charitable act, then you haven't given it away, and you're still suffering from that, getting that money. Okay. So you have to be like, when you're giving it away, you have to really think to yourself, like, I am not doing a charity. You're giving the money to a poor person, but you have to be very careful. My intention is not to do a charitable act. My intention is to get rid of this, save myself from this money. That's what you have to do. So if you get a reward from it, you're not going to get a reward because you did something charitable. You get a reward from removing this money from yourself. Okay, that's what you did. All right, so another Sunni channel. By the way, you can tell they're Sunni by the outfit, okay? If he was Shia Imam, he would have it like a turban, but this is a Sunni outfit. Okay, let's look at another. Well, I mean, I don't know. Depends on the place. Okay, if the turban pops, okay, I think this is true. If the turban like comes out, so this is mostly Sunni looking, not always, okay? But if you have a turban, if it pops out a little bit, then it's Shia. But if it's tight like this, then it's potentially Sunni, because this is also Sunni, okay? So I don't know if this could even be considered a turban. It looks more like a hat, okay? But if it's tight and it's not like it's not like pillow looking, then it might be Sunni. But you know the Shia ones, right? Those are the one that pop out. They're Shia. Okay, so this is another channel called Kalame. Kalame means the word, and this is another Sunni outlet. Kalame has many Sunni many channels. Okay, this is just one of them. And they're answering questions here as well. But let me see what they're saying. Oh, Nagar is here and Puya is here. Hi, Puya. Guys, we have Iranians here. Puya and Nagar. Hi. Hall 9000 is saying, imagine living in a high inflation country and then also giving away the interest on your savings on top. Well, you don't have to imagine that. People are living it. Oh yeah, green turbans as well. Okay. Anyways, let's watch this one. Oh, let's do double speed. He says, I know people who are very like Islamic, like they do Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar, which is the Islamic thing you're supposed to do. Like they're observant Muslims, but they still profit from interest. Like for example, they bought a house. Oh, or like they pay for mortgages. Okay, so apparently you can't be the receiver of interest or giver of interest. Like whatever side of this transaction you are, you're gonna burn in hell. It doesn't matter if you're the receiver or the giver. It's like, oh, so their excuse is that we're not. So apparently, so his friend, a friend he knows who is an observant Muslim, he got a house and I think they have a mortgage or a loan, right, to get the house. And he's like, I'm not doing anything wrong because I'm not making a profit from interest. I am giving profit to the bank for interest because I am the borrower, right? And is that allowed? Okay. Like, so the excuse is that we're giving profit, we're not making profit. Like he's like, so what? They're all the same. Like either getting profit or giving profit, riba is haram. It's like this: the verses of the Quran which are in regards to riba are pretty clear. He just spoke Arabic. He just gave the verses. See, like the Quranic verses is saying, like he covers all these excuses. Like there's no way out. It's all wrong. But guys, if it's how do Muslims buy houses? They just pay the whole thing in cash. So this is like they just wait until they have all the money. So this is so hard. Like how? So a lot of Muslims are going to, a lot of these radicals are going to be renting for the rest of their lives because they can't. Especially when inflations are so high, borrowing is a good idea because the interest you're paying on the loan could be less than inflation. This is like when inflations are high, like a lot of Muslims are not going to be benefiting from being borrowers at the times of high inflation, right? If you borrow money and inflation is high, the payments that you have to make back to the bank are going to be so low because they're worth less in the future, right? So a lot of people so you're harming the ummah. You're destroying, you're financially cursing your community. Why are you doing to this? How do Muslims become house owners if they can't even get mortgages? Yeah, Puya is saying, great, just throw all economic science in trash. Exactly. I don't understand. Oh my God, you cannot even be witness. You cannot even be a witness to a riba transaction. So if you're getting the interest, or you are giving the interest, or there's a deal that involves an interest, and you're just a witness in that transaction or in that deal, you are also harami. You're a harami. You're a harami. You're a harami. Everyone's harami. He just cursed the people who he just said a Quranic verse that cursed everybody involved in riba. Oh, okay. So this guy in live chat says like, no, don't worry, you're gonna own your house in Jannah. Beautiful response. Okay, so for Jannah, for people who don't know, is paradise in Islam, right? So don't worry. Like, yes, you're not gonna get a house in this life, but you get a better one in the afterlife. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. You're right. That's good. That's a good one. That's a good comeback. I like it. Ibn Qayyim is saying, in the UK, imams are very flexible, especially considering many of them are involved in property development themselves. This is why they make an exception for mortgages, right? They're like, oh, interest is bad, but mortgages, they're fine. And like, where in the Quran and Hadith are saying that this specific interest is okay? There's nothing. Like, okay, but like mortgages, like we cannot say that's haram. Like people need to buy houses.
شاهدی که بر قضیه ربا امضا میکنن، بر یک حالا سند ربوی، بر یک خرید و فروش ربوی، اینها میان امضا میکنن، اینها هم ملعونن. بنابراین این مسئله قطعی است. عجیب است کسی که مسئله حرام و حلال این همه
Anyways, this guy is basically going to go. He's just like cursing anybody who's involved in this. Right? Anyways, let's go to the next question. Anyways, so Mo say I'm gonna try to decipher what Mo say is saying, but before I do that, let me post the link to coming live on air if anybody's interested, but only to the people who are members of this channel. So if you're not a member of this channel, now it's a good time to consider it. If you are, only for people who are secure financially. It's only like $1 a month, but don't even spend $1 a month if you're suffering financially. But let me hold on. Let me say, what do I write? Say, join. No. Ask your. There we go. Let me make sure that it's only available to members. All right, so that it's in the community tab. It's under the community tab of the channel, if anybody wants to come up. If not, I have 2 more questions, and then I will go see. Bye-bye. I'm going to highlight some new questions that are coming here. All right, so Mo is asking me, you guys are doing what? Just discussing who is right and who is wrong about any religious... Okay, guys, I didn't write this question, but I'm going to try to understand. About any religious is wrong and dead end? Dead end? Specifically, if you are doing nothing against savage regime in Iran, this is all they want you to go involved online. Think about it. Think about it. Okay. All right. So I think what Mo is saying is that you guys are wasting your time. We're just discussing who's right. Is this religion right? That religion right? Atheists are right. This is all just a waste of time. You're all just talking philosophy and logical thinking and critical thinking and science and all. You're wasting your time with analyzing each other's opinions and all that. But this is what the Islamic Republic of Iran wants to do. The evil regime has figured it out. We could stay an extra year in power if we waste these people's times, and this will get them to argue against each other over things that don't matter at all. This is their evil genius, okay? They have gotten us to waste our times on live on air, okay, to do these things. Okay, but Mo, what do you want us to do? What should we do? What should we do against the evil regime? But okay, Mo, to be serious though, what you have to consider is that if you take action without education, then you get the Islamic Republic of Iran. Because guess what? This evil regime that you are warning us about, that is having us all thinking and arguing and educating and discussing, they came to power because people took action. But they took action without awareness. And they took action without education. And the Islamic Republic, the Islamic Revolution of 1979 or 1358 happened because of action without education, because of action without logic, because of action without awareness. So action has to come after education, after logic, after raising awareness, or else it could be disastrous. That's what the evil regime comes from. This evil regime that you're warning us of, that's where they come from. People took action, but they took the wrong action because they didn't do these discussions. They discussed, if they had this, they would have at least read the Velayat Faqih of Khomeini before they voted for his Islamic Republic. They had no idea. They just chanted Khomeini. They had no idea what he thinks. Nobody bothered to read his book. If they had, they would have been shocked. They were like, who the hell? They didn't know what his views were, and they still voted for him. The people who voted yes for the Islamic Republic, there are interviews of them right before and after the election. They asked him, what is an Islamic Republic? They said they don't know, but it must be good. Everyone else says it's good. So there you go. And also, if the Islamic Republic, if this regime, if that's what they want us to do, they want us to waste our time just talking to each other, then why are they trying to ban us? Why are they trying to shut down the internet in Iran? Why are they trying to constantly censor different outlets? If why every time there's a protest, all of a sudden the internet gets shut down in Iran? If they want us to waste our time discussing these things, why are they so afraid of free discussions? All right, so Ibn Qayyim is waiting for me to bring him up, so I'm just going to answer. Okay, I'm going to answer most last question after I talk to Mo, to Ibn Qayyim. Let me see. There's two Ibn Qayyims. I don't know which one to bring up. Which one are you? Hello? Ibn Qayyim? Say something. Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, Armin, do you know the other one? Put me in backstage on the other one. Yeah. Keep me in backstage, and perfect. All right, you answer the question. All right.
Oh, answer the question. Okay. All right, let's do this question. Mo asks another question. Let me actually check, making sure I got the questions right. By the way, guys, if you want me to answer your questions, you could become a patron, link in the description. And if you want to come up live on air and talk to me live on air, like Ibn Qayyim here is, you could become a YouTube member. So YouTube member to come live and talk to me on air, and patron to send me questions for me to answer. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, Mo is saying, what do you say to people who say, okay, again, I'm trying to decipher this because sometimes it's hard to understand what Mo is saying, but I'm going to try, okay? Mo is saying, I'm just going to read it as is, okay, without fixing it. What do you say to people who say that fallacies and rationality are not important because, for example, the U2 fallacy is really just give us a more wholesome and tangents that are important to having a more complete view of various social and political matters? Okay, I'm not sure exactly what this means, but I think you're saying that logical fallacies are not helping us, and there are better ways of understanding, of having better views of social and political matters than focusing on rationality and logical fallacies, right? But I'm assuming that this is happening because somebody called out your fallacy and you were annoyed. I'm kidding. Okay. So maybe. So what you have to understand is that these logical fallacies are not just things that you call and then things are determined right and wrong just because you call that a fallacy. Okay, that's not how you're supposed to work. If people are using it that way, then you might be right in seeing how counterproductive they are. Okay, I think you would find more utility. You will understand the utility in them if instead of just remembering the fallacies and calling them out, you understood the reasoning behind why these fallacies are logical fallacies and why they make an argument wrong. Okay, because it's good for us to understand not just social and political matters. To understand anything, you would want to make strong arguments for it. And our human brains are weak and they make mistakes. But the good thing is that the mistakes that they make are often the same, right? Because our brains are wired similarly between different individuals, the mistakes that we often make are repetitive, right? So it's not like the mistakes that we make in our thinking, because our brains were not designed for the modern world. Like through evolution, we were meant to be hunters and gatherers and stuff like that. We were not meant to make arguments to figure out how to live together and how to have a political society and stuff like that. We were not meant to do these things, right? So so it's understandable why our brains constantly make mistakes when we try to come up with conclusions, right? But the good thing is that these mistakes are so often the same mistakes that we can categorize them, and then we could be more aware of the common mistakes. So this is what the logical fallacies do. The logical fallacies is just notices the common mistakes people make when they are trying to arrive at a conclusion. And then it describes why it's a mistake and why it often leads us to the wrong conclusion. If you are aware of it, then it will help you figure out how to make better arguments, not just to other people, but to yourself. That's why they're useful. But I don't know if that's answering your question, because I'm not sure if I understood your question, but I think I answered your question. All right, so there is one non-patron question, which okay, so I don't know. I'm just going to do one non-patron question today. Missy is saying, what would you like to say to a Christian kuffar girl who wants to marry a Muslim? Well, you're not giving me enough context here, are you? I mean, okay, are you trying? Okay, if your expectation is for me to tell her not to, based on only the information that you're giving me here, then I'm afraid I might disappoint you. Okay, because, by the way, for people who don't know, kafir means infidel. So in Islam, non-Muslims are kafirs, right? But as somebody who is against Islam, okay, I would tell you that this decision, depending on the circumstances of this girl who's marrying a Muslim, might end up being the best decision of her life. I don't know her situation. I don't know what's going on between them. I don't know their story. Like, I'm guessing, like, maybe I'm misunderstanding this, but I'm thinking, because you know my anti-Islam stance, you're assuming that I'm like, oh, he's a Muslim. Run, girl. Are you insane? He's a Muslim. You're a kafir. You're an infidel to him. Do you understand that you're throwing your life away? Why would you think that go study Islam and then run away and never look back? I'm not going to say that, okay? This person might be the best match for her. This Muslim guy might end up being the best thing that ever happened to her. Might end up being the love that she would never find a better alternative to. Like, this is not enough information. Like, just say one Christian, one Muslim. I would have no advice based on this information. This might be the best or the worst decision, definite thing that she did in her life, or probably something in between. Oh, look, actually, Ibn Qayyim is saying, I married a Jewish girl when I was a Muslim. We are both atheists now. See, so that Jewish girl ended up, I'm assuming she hasn't been regretting marrying a Muslim man. So this Yad al-Dakhiliyat is saying, that's why I would never want democracy in an Arab world without secularism. I'm not going to endorse that message, okay? All right. Ibn Qayyim.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi there, man. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
It's a lovely day here in the UK, so how can I not be happy, eh? 29 degrees, beautiful day. Yeah.
I heard you people are melting. Is that true?
We're not used to this kind of weather, aren't we? So.
Do you have proper air conditioning for stuff like that?
No, that's why I'm sitting in my car right now.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Am I echoing?
No.
Oh,
am I echoing?
No, you're not echoing. It's just I think I'm echoing on my side. Wait, that should.
Guys, is Ibn Qayyim echoing for anybody? No, I think you're fine. I think.
Okay.
Anyways, we're going to talk about this poll, right? This report, the survey, by an institution called Gammon, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what you want to talk about today, right?
Yes.
So for people who don't know, this survey was blew people's minds, right? It shocked people. It was earth-shattering, okay? And when this report came out, we did on Atheist Republic, we covered it, a whole bunch of people covered it. And people were so impressed and so shocked and so happy to know that based on the results of this survey, Iran is a Muslim minority country, right? So because only, so this means that most Iranians have left Islam within one generation. And according to the survey, around half of Iranians have left not just Islam, religion as a whole, within the past 40 years. Half of Iranians, which is insane, if true, okay? And if you see in chart, like only 32% of Iranians identify as Shia. And if you want to consider the rest of Muslims, only 5% would be Sunni Muslim. So together with the Sufis, okay, so 3% Sufi. So if you want to add all of that together, around 40% Muslim. So less than half of Iranians are Muslim. I'm getting echo.
Yeah, that's from me. Sorry.
Okay. Only half of Iranian are Muslim, which makes Iran a Muslim minority country. And a lot of people say that the reason, a lot of people say they expected this because the Iranians have become very anti-religious because of their experience with the Islamic Republic of Iran. However, a lot of people, including Ibn Qayyim, questions this survey, and he doesn't believe it, and he thinks the survey is absolute garbage. Right? Am I right? Is that correct, Ibn Qayyim?
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, in my opinion, I'm hoping you can prove me wrong today.
Okay, so Ibn Qayyim is hoping that I could prove him wrong today, but we will review this together, and we'll see because why Ibn Qayyim thinks the survey is nonsense. Okay, so Ibn Qayyim, I want you to start. This headphone is Bluetooth, so I'm going to be right back, but I'm listening to you the entire time. So start your explanation now while I'm away.
Just before you do that, can you put this one in the background and put the other one in and see if you can hear me from the other, because I'm getting echo on this one.
Okay. There, I switched.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, this is better.
It's better, yeah.
I think it's a little bit better.
Okay. Wait, I'm going to come out this one. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Edit mic. I'm just going to make it a little bit louder.
Oh, yeah. That's much better for me. That's much better. Yeah. Okay, I'll begin.
Okay. I'll be right back. You keep speaking.
Okay. No worries. Okay, so I have two arguments which challenge the credibility of the command poll. Okay, the first of those is in relation to the credibility of those who are conducting the poll, and the second is in relation to the methodology used. Okay. So let's take a look here. So who conducted the poll? Okay. So the main individual involved is an individual named Amr Maliki. He's a secular humanist like myself and Armin, and he shares the same values. However, he's not just a assistant professor in the Netherlands. He is also an activist, a secular activist. So the reason why I'm discussing the people involved in the poll is because it's in relation to the methodology they use when they conduct. The two things link together. So on his university profile, there is a link to an article which I will link in the private chat with Armin. In it, he's asked, do you see your academic work as a form of activism? Yep. Can you hear me, Armin?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and he says academic. Sorry, Armin. Listen, I'm getting feedback. This is really bad. Wait one sec. Do you know when I unmute myself? I can hear myself in my ears. I don't know why this is happening.
Well, don't mute yourself then.
No. If I don't mute myself.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, if I don't mute you, sorry, if I can hear the live stream, I can hear my own voice in my ears.
Well, because you have maybe YouTube open on the background.
Okay, let me close this one second.
If you close YouTube.
I'm gonna. Okay. Right, I've done it. Oh, it's working. Oh no, I can still hear feedback. Wait, one second.
So the guy that you're talking about is Dr. Ammar Maliki?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
I can read his bio.
Yeah. So whenever I talk, I can hear myself. Honestly, this is impossible. Wait, I'm just gonna take.
All right. While you figure that out, I'm just going to read the man's bio. Okay. So this is a doctor, assistant professor. Okay. So he's both doctor and assistant professor. So he has a PhD, but he also is like one level below a full professor. Okay. So very educated.
Is that any better?
Oh,
I think. Yeah.
Wait. I know. Okay. So people are saying it's echoing for them as well. Here, I know what to do. Now speak. I think I fixed it. Say something.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Let me put my headphones back in. 1 second.
All right. Thank you, Puya, for saying that. What Puya told me made me be able to fix it. All right.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Anyway,
now.
So
that was killing my ears. Man. I swear down.
All right. Okay. Because I was sharing the screen. It was my fault. I was sharing the screen with audio. I should have just removed the audio. So
okay.
Yeah, Puya is saying perfect. Okay.
So this guy's an assistant professor, like you said. Yeah. So I'm gonna link you to an article in which he says he's asked a question. Do you see your academic work as a form of activism? And he responds saying academia and activism are the same. Okay. And I'm gonna link that in the chat.
That's not very damning because activism is raising awareness. So academia, just raising people, just informing people is a form of activism, even if it's unbiased.
But being an activist for a particular idea shows that there may be some bias in your work if it's not checked. Maybe.
But that quote itself is not very telling because you could be completely objective, completely unbiased in your educational material, and even if you're unbiased and objective, that is still a form of activism if you believe that more awareness is good for the planet, even if it's objective.
I agree. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna with regards to his research abilities, etc. He has only published one peer-reviewed paper over the past 6 years, since 2016. I'm going to link his peer-reviewed work, all of his work here, and you can see in that link what the peer-reviewed work is. And since 2016, he's done he's published just a single peer-reviewed article.
Yeah. Okay. So that means. Okay. So, I mean, I know a lot of. So the interesting thing is that this is a survey. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of surveys are not really good. Surveys are done by survey specialists that have zero peer-reviewed published academic research. Right. This is two different worlds. Right. One world is the research world, and another world is the survey world. Right. Like, just because you conduct a good survey, it doesn't mean that you have published a peer-reviewed academic research. But for example, there are world-renowned like peer surveys out there that people rely on that are not peer-reviewed academic research. Those are two different fields.
I agree. I agree with that.
To me, this seems like a bonus. To the fact that this is a man that, in addition to conducting surveys, has under his belt a peer-reviewed academic research, means that this is a guy that is recognized in academia. That means that other academics have reviewed his work and put a stamp of approval on this guy's expertise. So having one of that itself shows that this guy is not just some random dude. Like, he does do science.
But what it does, Armin, is it calls into question as to why he didn't publish or why he didn't conduct this poll through the university, and he's decided to start his own organization with another secular liberal activist. And so it does call into
because
question.
of money. Because if through university you wouldn't be able to independently go and
you can obtain funding. You can apply for funding, but let's see who you got the funding from, as well. Okay.
But let me first read his bio. Okay, I might have his bio on the screen. He says, "My research experience," and this is his bio on Tilburg University, which I believe is a university in
Holland, Netherlands.
Netherlands. Okay. It says so. Okay, so this guy is an academic, and we agree with that, right?
Yeah, in the same way as Muhammad Hijab is. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, come on! Are you serious?
Muhammad Hijab is he's a PhD candidate right now. After he completes that, which will be over the next year, he can apply for assistant professorship in any university within the UK, and he can do this, and he can publish the same report, and he can get the opposite results. And I'll explain to you why it's important discussing the people involved when it comes to the methodology, because it's the methodology itself which is,
I will tell you, I will say, as much as I don't agree with Muhammad Hijab, if Muhammad Hijab ever puts out a publication which is peer reviewed and accepted, okay, I will take his work seriously.
The publication you might take seriously that was peer reviewed, but that doesn't mean you take any of his other work seriously.
No, in my mind, no, not all, but in my mind, he's a person that is aware of the standards. Like, he is from that world now. Even if he wasn't before, he is now. He understands the criteria. He understands how to do science. He's that
He might understand how to do science, but it might even help him to manipulate the results and to try and make it look credible.
I agree. Yeah. No, I completely agree. There's might. Okay, completely agree. Right? The might. Okay.
Might.
But again,
agreed.
I agree with might. Okay, but I'm just saying. But I would also respect him as somebody that is aware and knows how to of the scientific method and is experienced in doing so. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I agree.
Also, okay, and also when it comes to motivations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would apply Occam's razor, right? I would say motivation. I would assume most people's motivations are in line with their own self-interest.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And self-interest will dictate you doing good work and not making mistakes. Because if you are found,
not if your activism comes before your credibility as a professor.
Yeah,
it depends.
Yeah, I'm saying you both are possible. Okay, there are people who are so into changing the world that they would take a hit for it. Okay. Mm-hmm. I just have a hard time believing that somebody would what you're describing is fraud. Okay? I would have a hard time believing that somebody would commit fraud, putting his entire academic career at risk, his entire reputation at risk, for the sake of creating a poll that shows Iran is less religious than people assume.
I'm not saying. Hold on. I'm not saying he committed fraud. I'm saying the way he conducted the sampling.
This would be fraud.
No, it would not be fraud. The way he's conducted the sampling, right, is directed so he gets a certain result, right? But it's not easy to see on the face of it. You have to dig a bit deeper in order to extrapolate what he's basically attempting to do here, right? Okay, but you agree he's an activist. You agree he's an activist, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, who isn't?
Yeah, but there are many academics who are not public activists. They don't put on their Twitter threads, denouncing a particular regime, etc., etc.
Because do you know like a university professor that doesn't take a stance, for example, on LGBT, for example, like they have the LGBT pin
but
or
they might not be,
anti-it or pro-it. They're like
but they might,
everybody is an activist in something.
but they might not be doing research in that particular field. He's doing research focusing on Iran, and he speaks about that
Right.
particular topic. So
okay, if that's
you
the
understand?
case, if that's the case, okay, why in his one of his other polls he has the support here? Look at this. Let me show you. If he's trying to manipulate information in a way that makes seculars. So for a very long time, we all assumed that the Islamic Republic of Iran, right, the regime, has less than 5% support. Like you would be in the Iranian community, you would be mocked if you said let me finish this, okay? Between like people would say, oh, less than 1%, like not even, maybe just the people at the top only, okay? People like, oh no, like just a handful, and the rest of them are just like everybody else is just getting paid, and nobody supports the Islamic Republic, okay? But this man's poll survey shows that 22% of Iranians support the Islamic Republic. Okay, so
Wow, 22%.
That's huge.
That's tiny. 22% compared to I would think it would be more than that. No, listen.
Clueless.
No,
You are
listen.
clueless. This is way higher.
Listen.
This is
wait, 1 second.
He was
wait.
Okay, so let me just tell you this. These people are getting attacked by Iranians from the other side. They think that these posters are on the side of the regime. They would think that nobody in their right mind would imagine that the Islamic Republic has 22% support. Like the accusation that you're making against this person in Iran, they're making it the other way. They're saying these people are pro-Islamic Republic, and they're fooling us with these survey results. That's the
in Iran, the people that listen to you. In Iran, the people that are kind of in your circle, you're not talking. You might not be talking about the ordinary Iranian. Do you understand? You might be talking about Iranian people in your circle that are saying this, right? Do you understand?
No, Ibn Khan. I follow everybody. Okay, I follow my opposition as well. Okay, my opposition, my pro-regime opposition, they also think that they have lost the popular narrative, the crowds. They don't assume that most Iranians are pro-Islamic Republic. They do not think that. Even a pro-regime.
I don't think this particular poll proves anything as to.
I'm not saying it proves anything. I am a skeptic here. Okay, I'm not saying it proves. This doesn't prove that, and what you're saying doesn't prove anything. In the words of possibilities, of course, what you're saying is possible. Okay, I'm not interested in what's possible. I'm interested in what's probable. Do you have anything that shows what you're claiming is probable?
Yeah, I'm gonna go through it with you. Okay, so my next thing is.
We never read the bio. Let me actually read his bio.
Okay.
But Dr. Dr. Amar Maliki is saying, my research expertise and interests are in two different disciplines: cross-cultural differences and democratization. I think we should invite him on the show maybe one day. I am interested to examine the relation and interaction between societal culture and institutional settings of democracy. The cultural compatibility thesis of democracy developed in my PhD dissertation posits that societal cultural matters in the process of adopting, and adapting political institutions of democracy. The thesis suggests that the mentality of adopting the best model of democracy should be replaced with the attitude of finding the most compatible model. I am also a pro-democracy activist. Oh, so this is in his bio. And by the way, if this guy was trying to do a sneaky on us, why is he putting this in his bio? Okay, so I'm saying I am also a pro-democracy activist and political analyst of Iranian politics. see my interview with this University Magazine. I am the director of Gaman, the group for analyzing and measuring attitudes in Iran Research Foundation, appearing in media and using. Okay, so here's the thing. This guy is the founder of an institution that is supposed to do survey. Okay, it seems like this is the focus of his career. He would be ruined, like his entire success in his life depends on him getting things right. Do you know what I mean? Like the food that he feeds his children, the roof that is on top of his family's, covers his family, the education that his children will have in the future, the trips that he's going to go to with his wife, or maybe his husband, I don't know. Okay, the trips that he takes with his, loved
He's got a wife.
Okay,
he's got a wife.
With his wife. Okay, all of this, everything from, and he looks not that very old. Okay, so he has years of his life to look forward to, and it all depends on the credibility of the surveying institution that he has founded. And you think that he's going to throw all of that in the toilet by messing with the data? That's what you're claiming.
No, I'll explain later with regards to the data that he's published. But what I want to say is, do you agree that both of these two people, Amr Maliki and Pouyan Tamimi Arab, are both secular liberal activists who are against the Iranian regime? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, who isn't? But okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this study, it says on the next page, was financially supported by and carried out in cooperation with Dr. Ladan Boromand, co-founder and senior fellow of the Abdurrahman Boromand Center for Human Rights in Iran. And it says, we express our sincere gratitude to her and all the volunteers who, in one way or another, assisted. Yeah, I'll send you the link. So it's on the second page. So if you go one page down, next page.
Oh,
there. Yeah, it says it there. And I'm going to link you to their website, to the Abdul Rahman Boromand website. Where is it? There it is. And you can see this is an activist website. So everyone involved in this is an activist against the Iranian regime.
Okay. The sponsors of most surveys are.
No, most sponsors the majority of research in Europe. Surveys. Yeah, the majority of research conducted in Europe is sponsored by governments. So it's government.
Okay, so for example, in the United States, one of the best surveys are done by Fox, right? By Fox News.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though the funding of these surveys are done by a right-leaning media outlet, okay, and they are absolutely biased.
I don't know how good Fox News. I don't know how good their surveys are.
No, they're very good. They're very respected because they're funded by a right-leaning media outlet, okay. But the surveys, the methodology has received a stamp of approval by all the experts.
Are the surveys online surveys with Fox News?
Online surveys have been proven to be there are studies done on the reliability of online surveys.
I've got a Pew Research article regarding online surveys and how they are not the best.
I've seen. I mean, I have to go look. I've seen studies, peer-reviewed studies, that shows that online surveys are as reliable as phone calls and door-to-door surveys.
I'm going to link the Pew Research article in the chat.
That's what I've seen. Have you found? Hold on, let me see. Let's look at this. All right. How accurate are online polls? How statistically accurate is an online poll? In which part? This was 20. Don't you have something more recent? This is 10 years ago.
It's still on the website, so I'm still. It's probably yeah.
How statistically accurate is an online poll in which participants sign on to contribute their opinions? Would it be possible to get statistically accurate opinions about what the average American wants their taxes to go through an online poll that allows the participants to indicate what percentage of his or her taxes will go for each of a number of purposes. The accuracy of a poll depends on how it was conducted. Most of Pew Research polling is done by telephone, but contrast most online polls that use participants. But okay, by the way, there is a methodology introduced by Pew for online polls, and I think Gammon uses that specific methodology suggested by Pew. Is that correct?
No, I don't think that's correct. I've gone through the methodology that they've used, and they do weighting and refining and whatnot. They do all of that, but they don't
look,
go
I was
into
right.
detail.
No, look, I was right. No, look, it was right here, as suggested by Pew. Oh no, for the balancing and weighing method, they use a Pew methodology.
I've got the link to that as well, and in that link, it actually says that weighting cannot. It can only reduce the bias by only 30% at maximum, in terms of. Yeah, but yeah, we'll move on to that later. Yeah.
Okay. By contrast, most online polls that use participants who volunteer to take part do not have a proven record of accuracy. Okay, these are proven record of accuracy 10 years ago. 10 years, I need something more recent.
Yeah, but this article, they say, is up to date. If it wasn't up to date, it wouldn't be on their website. If they had something more, if they had something new to update it with.
It's claiming that they have no proven record of accuracy up until 2010. Hold on, let me search. Let me see.
Has something changed in the past 12 years?
Yeah, well, 12 years gives you a lot of data, right? So, but when you say they don't have a proven record of accuracy, that doesn't mean they're not accurate. That means that they don't have a proven record of accuracy.
Yeah, they don't have a proven record of accuracy. So there's no record to prove that they're accurate. Yeah.
Okay, here I found something.
Armin, do you know before I came onto this live stream this morning, I watched the video when you actually reviewed it 2 years ago. Do you know a couple of years ago and I was reluctant to come on here because you were so passionate and so happy about the results, etc.
Hey,
and I
was so happy. I was so happy, and was I not careful even back then? Even though I was excited, to be skeptical, wasn't I?
You were skeptical to an extent, but not about the people that conducted it and the methodology they used. I don't think you were skeptical about
no. That. I remember mentioning that if this is true.
You did. You did.
And I said specifically, be careful, everybody. I said be careful because
you did.
This is such a good news that it will make us not skeptical. But you have to always remember, or what did I do? You have to always remember that just because this is good news, that we can't just believe it 100%, right?
I agree. And by the way, I hope you prove me wrong today because I want this to be true as well. So I hope you bring me something that can prove
No.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I might agree with you. Okay, because here, look, I found something more recent, and it's basically not in my favor. Okay, this is 2020. Assessing the risk to online polls from bogus respondents. Approval ratings can be influenced several percentage points by bogus stickers of opt-in polls. Okay, so this is better. This is 2020. More than 80% of the public polls used to track by key indicators of U.S. public opinion, such as president's approval ratings or support for Democratic presidential candidates, are conducted using online opt-in pollings. A new study by Pew Research Center finds that online polls conducted with widely used opt-in sources contain small but measurable shares of bogus respondents, about 4 to 7%, depending on the source. Critically, these bogus respondents are not just answering at random, but rather they tend to select positive answer choices, introducing a small systematic bias into estimates like presidential approval. This pattern, I'm not denying what you're saying. I'm looking for more recent information. This is like only 2 years ago. Okay. This pattern is not partisan. Well, okay, so this is like more US related. Well, some challenges to polls are ever present, e.g., respondents not answering carefully or giving socially desirable answers. The risk that bad actors could compromise a public opinion poll is, in some respect, a new one. It is a consequence. It is a consequence of the field's migration towards online convenience samples of people who sign themselves up to get money or other rewards by taking surveys. Just another thing, Ibn Qayyim. This also shows that online polls are widely used. Like this is within the world of surveys and surveys that are respected. You know, this is not something that is like not common. You know what I mean? So as problematic as they are, it is something that is widely used within the surveying industry. You agree?
I agree with that. And if the methodology is properly laid out and it's detailed as to how they conducted the online poll, then I'm fine with it, right? However, as we will see in this one, it doesn't go into that much detail in the appendix in terms of the methodology. If you compare it to someone like Pew or one of the other major polling organizations.
Your voice is cracking. I don't know why. But let me read this part. Yeah, a little bit. But let me read this part. The study finds that not all online polls suffer from this problem. Online polls that recruit participants offline through random sampling of residential addresses have only trace level of bogus respondents, like 1%. In address recruited panels, there are too few bogus cases to have a perceptible effect on the SMS. Okay, so the Gammon one was not address recruited.
It wasn't random sampling either.
Yeah. Okay, so this suggests that there would be a bias. There would be a systematic bias. Yeah.
So
it would be okay. So yeah.
Can you hear me clearly now? Am I clear now?
You're clear, but cracking for some reason.
Right. Let me take out my head.
Yeah. Let's look at the methodology.
Can you hear me any better now?
Yes, better. No crack.
Better, yeah? Perfect. Okay. No worries. Okay, so the methodology. Okay. So they use something called a multiple chain referral sampling. This is on page 3. Page 3.
Well, actually, do you want to read the entire? I want to read the entire thing. Is that okay?
No, it's section 1. You're on the wrong page. If you go to page 3, and then we can go down to that later on. If you go to page 3. Okay, so if you look at the second paragraph, it says the sampling methods were multiple chain referral sampling, or basically snowball. It's the second paragraph.
This study finding this. Okay, the results can be generalized to.
You need to go. Armin, page 3.
This is.
If you go down, that's not a page. That second one's not considered a page. So if you go down, that's page 1. 2 and then 3 there, the second paragraph. Page 3.
The sampling methods were multiple chain referral sampling or multiple virtual snowball sampling through social media, Telegram, Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, and Facebook. More than 50,000 respondents living inside and outside Iran participated in the study. 50,000, that's a huge number. So you agree that sample size is pretty good. You agree with that?
100%. Sample size is massive. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
And they refined that sample size as well. So I think overall it was 39,000 and something people once they've got rid of the the bots, etc. That is
So they got this was through a very recognized methodology within the survey standards, right? They got rid of all the samples that didn't meet the criteria, right? So they have they were left with a much smaller percentage at the end, but it was still a big number. Yeah. Okay.
The problem is one of the issues here is snowball sampling. Yeah, that's the sampling method they use. So the disadvantages of snowball sampling, one of the main ones is community bias. Okay, so the first participants will have a strong impact on the sample, so they choose the first participants. Okay, so it could be, for example, in his Twitter feed. They don't actually tell you in any of this how they found their first recruits. They don't. This is something they should have laid out within the methodology. How did they recruit the
I
first
understand.
people?
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But you know that fixes itself when they weigh it using census data.
Yeah. No, it doesn't fix it completely. I'll explain to you
I know
why.
it doesn't. I know it doesn't fix it completely, but it addresses it. So first of all, here's the thing: these methods that you're mentioning, okay, every single method in survey when it comes to surveys has flaws, and it's going to cause some problems with the data. Okay, but the fact that with its flaws they're still used, okay, it means that there are bonuses, like there are benefits to them as well, and you use each. With every survey, like you could use different methodology, okay, and every methodology is going to have its flaws and its benefits. And given the data you're working with, you have to weigh in how much of a
Bias.
how big of a problem of the methodology you're willing to live with, given the benefits, given the type of data that you're working with. You know what I mean?
Do you know how you can do that? Do you know how you can do that though? If they actually tell you how they chose the initial people who they sampled from the snowball, right? They don't tell you in any of this how they chose those. They just say it's social media and that it's varied, but they don't tell you which particular groups of people they targeted, which websites or which on Twitter pages, like what Twitter pages they think. See, Pew would lay this all out in their methodology, right? They haven't put any of this. They've just said, through social media, Telegram, Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook. They don't actually tell you which Facebook pages they went to. They don't tell you which Twitter page they went to. So they could have chosen anyone. Do you understand? So they could have chosen people who have values that are in line with their own.
Yeah.
Rather than this is problematic. If you don't lay it out.
It could, but okay. But first of all, do you know how they try to, like, okay, first of all, with whatever method they use, okay, given that they're on Telegram, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Twitter and Facebook, okay, they are going to. These are areas where more secularist, more anti-regime people are already active there, right? So even without knowing the methodology, I could tell you that the first people will be people in our camp. Okay, wherever they share this, they will have that problem. They will have that problem. Okay, because pro-regime people are mostly active in different places. Not these are not, there are other places that they're more active in, right? Especially given that these are Instagram is like where haramis go, right? So, but the reason why they know this, they know that
Yeah,
this
they
is
do. They do. Yeah, they put that down. They've actually wrote about that.
What?
Yeah, Gaman actually acknowledges the network effect. So this is in your favor. So they admit the survey is more likely to reach respondents who hold beliefs similar to those held by the organizers, as well as self-select.
So they're transparent about that, right?
Yeah, they're transparent about that. Yeah, that's right. Go
on.
So they need to, obviously this needs to be put in, obviously, to have it be a credible survey, etc. Right? They need to put this in. But what they should have put
every survey mentions its limitations. But you're saying that they should have mentioned how it started, right? But I'm saying
which pages did they choose? Yeah, which pages did they choose to select first?
I'm saying that given that no matter where they started, that huge bias towards anti-regime or pro-secularism would have been there. This wouldn't have made much of a difference, because like it doesn't really matter where on these social media outlets they started. Wherever they have started, the initial ones would have probably been pro-secularism and anti-regime. So it wouldn't have mattered where they did this. These are places where it's dominant. These are areas where it's dominated by anti-regime pro-secularists, right? But I'm saying there's no other way to reach people other than these popular social media outlets. So the way you fix that is by weighing the results, by changing the zarif, what is it called, the multiplier, right? At the end, So basically, you take your data, and this is why you ask people for their age, their education, their location, right, and a whole bunch of other variables, and then you go and look at census data, and then you try to adjust the data that you collected that was not random. Your data collection was not randomized, but you try to randomize it by increasing or decreasing how much each one of these different groups in your sample, by changing it to match the census data, and that's how they adjust for it. Does that make sense?
And then and he provides a link for that as well. So he provides a link to a Pew Research website which discusses the weighting and balancing methods they use. And in that Pew Research website that they link to, they say, it says, and I quote, even the most effective adjustment procedures were unable to remove most of the bias. The key word there being most. So the study tested.
Wait, is this a link? Is this a link?
Yeah, that's the link. Yeah, click on that. Yeah. So if you go down a bit, say among key findings. If you keep going down slightly there. Can you see among key findings? Is that what it says?
Yeah, among key findings. Yes.
Yeah, and if you want to read that, if you want to read that to the audience,
even the most effective adjustment procedures were unable to remove most of the bias. The study tested a variety of elaborate weighing adjustments on online opt-in surveys with the sample sizes as large as 8,000 interviews. Across all of these scenarios, none of the evaluated procedures reduced the average estimated bias across 24 benchmarks below 6 percentage points, down from 8.4 points unweighted. This means that even the most effective adjustment strategy was only able to remove about 30%. Yeah, if this means what I think it means, then yeah, you're right.
Yeah, see, this is why I think it could be problematic. And to be honest, I don't think I need to say much more than that, to be honest.
But this is much a bit okay. If I'm understanding this correctly, because I would have to read this entire article, okay? Because maybe I'm reading it out of context, right? But if this is what I think it is, okay, which if you want, we could read the whole thing, okay? Then you didn't have to go through trying to guess the intentions of this, of the people. You know what I mean? I think that's a lot weaker criticism than this. This is a strong criticism if we are interpreting this right.
Do you know why I decided to go down that line to begin with? Was because they use snowball sampling methodology. The initial people that they're going to choose might be in line with their values, etc., viewpoints, etc. I didn't take into account the fact that most Iranians online on these platforms were anti-regime activists. That's something you mentioned to me later on, didn't you? I assumed that they would have chosen those people to begin with because those are the people that are going to be most closely associated with them. They might be their followers, etc. And snowball sampling is it takes a very long time to get back all these results, etc. So they could have, the easiest way to do it would just be to go to your followers, right, and say, here's the survey, pass it on. And then they could get all that and then weight it. They could still weight it, but it would still be a biased result because the weighting doesn't remove all of the bias, even if it's the most effective.
Does this article provide a solution?
It's a long article. I haven't read the whole thing.
Okay, so maybe you should read the whole thing because it doesn't seem like it's an article that is weighing online opt-in samples. I don't think it's an article that is throwing it under the bus. It might be an article that says, let's read the rest. When it comes to accuracy, choosing the right variables for weighing is more important than choosing the right statistical method. Choosing the right variables for, okay. So let me go through the list. The benefits of adding political variables to adjustment differ by survey topic. Okay. The most basic weighing method, raking, performs nearly as well as more elaborate techniques based on matching.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean
very
they
large.
use raking. They actually use raking as
he-
part of the survey. They actually use the raking method.
Okay, here's a point in your favor. Okay, very large sample sizes do not fix the shortcomings of online opt-in samples. Okay, so the fact that the survey had huge numbers doesn't help. Adjusting on political variables, not just demographics, made key public opinion estimates more Republican. Okay, so that's not good. Is there a fun? The weighing procedures tested in this report represent only a small fraction of the many possible approaches to weighing up things. Okay, we need to read this entire thing, because I would be shocked if this is an article by Pew saying that just throw away the idea of opt-in opinion polls
No.
because weighing just doesn't
No,
work.
it's not saying throw it away, but it's just mentioning that even when you apply weighting, it still doesn't resolve the majority of the bias involved in the actual survey. So it only the maximum it can remove is 30%. That's the maximum. So I'm not assuming we can't assume that this is the maximum amount of bias this is removed. So maybe it's 20%, maybe it's 25% of the bias. But
okay, well, what is it? What is it suggesting as a solution if it's not throwing it out?
Well, is there a solution on there? I don't think there is.
There should be, because the problem.
There's 8 pages to this. Yeah.
What?
If you look at the bottom, there's 7 more pages to this.
Oh my god!
I don't think we're going to be going through that this stream.
Is it a conclusion part?
Let's go to page 8. I'll go to page 8 and see if anything.
Okay, these are appendixes. This is appendix C. God damn it! Just tell us a yes or no. Why do these academics just don't give us the answers to things? Nothing. Okay, acknowledgement.
I mean, one thing I want to ask is, okay, so why do you take this particular survey over what Pew or Gallup have provided in the past? Is there any particular reason why?
Because those were self-identifying as Muslim, right? That was not like whether you're not believe. I don't know what was the. First of all, how old was that? Wasn't that years ago?
Yeah, something like that, about 9-10 years ago. Yeah.
Okay,
but it compared, for example, I think the Gallup poll compared 2006 to 2012. They found that Iranians in that period were more religious. They supported more in terms of implementing Sharia within the law. So within 6 years. So it looks like that there's a like an incline as to religiosity, and then all of a sudden with this poll, it's like 37% Muslim, and the rest like it's just kind of.
First of all, it's 20 years ago. Second of all, the questions were different.
Yeah, I agree. The questions were slightly different, but if people support some form of Sharia within the law, I'm guessing those people are Muslims, right?
No, not necessarily. Like, for example, and also there's a whole bunch of people who, like, I don't know, would say like, do you believe in afterlife? And they say like, no. And do you believe in Allah? Oh, they say no. And like, are you a Muslim? They're like, say yes. Like, I mean, it really depends on how you frame the question as well. So I don't know. But I think I did a very good job at being excited but skeptical at the same time. I don't think I did I mean, how could I not be excited about half of Iranians leaving Islam?
I completely agree. I completely
like. Do you
completely agree?
But I think I had a very proper response. Excited but skeptical. Both
100%.
of them. Right. I have to be excited about a mere suggestion that half of Iranians left Islam. I have to be excited about that, and yet skeptical. I think that's a really good combination. Every time. And
my critique is not of your response. My critique is not of your response. I think the response was very good. I think a little bit the way you responded to me. I think our first communication we had online, you were a bit heated, a little bit angry at me. And
well, okay. So correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, when you were anti this survey at the beginning, right? Because you said this is you were not skeptical. You came off to me across to me as sure that this survey is garbage. Okay, and at that time when you had that view, did you do all this research that you have right now, or did you do it after?
I did about 20%. I had done about 20% of
So
what
my reaction to you was proper, okay? Because
your skepticism was better than mine. Your reaction to this report was better than my reaction. Okay, I agree with that.
because
Our initial reactions.
because if what you were telling me was like, I don't know, Armin, I'm skeptical, I would have been like, skeptical is good. You were not skeptical. You were sure that this is garbage, and you haven't done it. You have only done 20% of the research that you have done right now. So that was not the proper position for you to have.
Do you know what? I mean, I was angry at you for something you'd done previously, right? Do you know, with the Israel-Palestine? And I wanted to have a go at you. You sometimes get really angry, and I just, Sometimes I do it in chat. I relieve the stress in chat, But no, honestly, do you know? I think. Would you say you're more skeptical now about it than you were?
A lot more skeptical. I am a lot more skeptical about it. A lot more skeptical.
Do you know what would alleviate my skepticism? Right, if they actually listed in here, which some of the other polling agencies do, what where did the original cohorts come from? If they did that, that would alleviate some. It would still not completely alleviate the bias, because obviously you can only alleviate 30% of the bias, but at least it would give us an idea as to where those original people they brought along came from, because they don't actually tell you which pages, Facebook pages or Twitter pages, etc., that they obtained those original samples from on this report.
Okay, I really don't. By the way, I'm still skeptical about whether this. I'm not I am very skeptical. I'm not saying the survey is wrong, because I don't know if me and do you have any background in statistics and surveys?
No, I've just got a law degree, so I don't know anything about it.
My problem is that we might be completely misunderstanding what this Pew article is saying. Okay. So I mean, what you're raising is important. I just want somebody. I want to talk to an expert about this. You know what I mean?
We need to try and find someone who hasn't got any skin in the game, right? Who isn't like a Iranian.
Yes. Yeah, and also we need to talk about the people who have skin in this game. Like, I want to see if I could reach out to them, because they did talk to us before.
Did they?
Right. I mean, they left a comment. They came and left comments on our videos and stuff. So
By the way, I like his work. I'm a big fan of the Doctor. I think he's a great activist for secularism. I think he promotes democratic principles. So I support him 100% on that. I have an issue with regards to the accuracy of this particular. And the reason why I bring this up, Armin, is because when we're making prescriptive claims with regards to the Iranian people, if we want what's best for them, we need to understand or have a good understanding as to what they believe. Because if, for example, only 37% of them are Muslims, right, then you could make a strong argument for basically helping to overthrow or intervention within Iran to stop what the Iranian regime is currently doing. I mean, you could make arguments even if it wasn't the case, but it would be a stronger argument, right? It would be less likely for there to be chaos in Iran if you were to intervene, remove the regime, etc. Whereas if the Muslim population is 90%, 95%, and a significant proportion support the regime, then the result of overthrowing the regime would be completely different, right? So that's why I think it's really important that we get the most accurate figures possible when
look if you keep reading, it tells you what to do. It keeps giving you all these suggestions on what to do to, so what the part that we read tells you that what didn't fix the bias, okay? But if you keep reading, it tells you the methodology and the things that you need to do that addresses all those biases. And we don't know, I mean, do we know that they didn't use this methodology? In addition to, we just read the only part, this doesn't fix it, but then it continues, but this does. And I feel like we're missing the part that, this does. And I think that the Gammon people, given that they link to this, they're probably aware of the methodology that fixes those biases. Look, there's like on page, if you look at page 3, it goes through all these different methodology that addresses what to do. Like like you're saying they did raking. It's like, well, you do have to do raking in addition to all those other things together to
but
reduce the bias.
The question is, does that take you up to that original 30% bias? Do you know, reduction of bias?
Well, I don't know, but I don't know because
Yeah.
because the part that you read told you what does it, okay? But then if you continue reading, maybe you get to what does.
The question that I have is, maybe that original, the one that said it can only do up to 30%, maybe that's the conclusion, because it says among the key findings, and then this tells you how to get to that stage to get the 30% reduction. Do you understand?
Yeah. So maybe we should do more reading. Yeah. So because the part that you said was like, look, reducing bias on benchmarks. Choice of variables for weighing is more consequential than statistical method. Matching on its own can improve raking, but only modestly and with large samples. Okay, I don't know. Like, see, like we don't understand this because earlier it was saying large samples don't matter. Here it says only it works only on large samples. So we don't understand what we're reading. This is not. We can't just because this is not our field. We can't just read the headlines and feel like, oh, we got it. This study is bullcrap. You know what I mean? We need an expert to tell us what this means.
I think. Do you know the first page of it? Do you know what that is? That's the summary of the findings that they found in the other 7 pages.
But I think
you don't need to read the 7 pages if you've got the summary in the first page. You understand? That looks like it's the summary of the rest of the 7 pages.
Been able to remove most of the bias. Study tested variety of elaborate regulators.
So that's describing this particular study, isn't it?
Yeah. You're right.
So we don't need to read the other 7 pages if you've got the summary in the
yeah, you're right. But I am a lot more skeptical. I would just need somebody who understands these more to tell us what we think. I mean, here's somebody who must understand these things more than us. The doctor who conducted the survey. Like, are they so ignorant?
But he might be biased, Armin. He might be biased. You see.
Okay, but if you're
biased,
are you so dumb to hide your bias? Like, how could okay? So look at the conspiracy that we're suggesting here. Okay, we're suggesting that the man is so biased that even though he is academic and he understands the science of taking surveys, okay, he has linked to an article within his own study showing how everything he has done is completely wrong, and he's just hoping that nobody will notice.
But do you know? I don't think he thought that. I don't know. Listen, I like the guy. I've listened to him online. He's a very intelligent guy. Listen, he's smarter than I am. I'll give him that. But I think, like, why did he do it through the university? Why did he have to set up his own institute where we know he has a bias? We know the other guy has a bias. We know the funders have a bias, and it's just not something I can. I'm skeptical, Armin. I'm skeptical.
Okay. Well, you're right to be skeptical. You're right to be skeptical.
I shouldn't have denounced it. I shouldn't have denounced it like I did. I was wrong to do that. I apologize. I shouldn't have just come out there and just said this is nonsense, and I was wrong to do that.
Yeah, but you are right to be more skeptical than I was, and now I am joining you in being more skeptical. So thank you for that. Puya in the live chat is saying he's active on Clubhouse as well. So that's good because I am recently more active on Clubhouse. I'm going to try to reach out to him. Do you want to maybe suggest email me some suggested questions?
Yeah. I'll email you. Yeah. Cool. And then maybe you can bring him on the live stream and you two can have a chat and maybe you can clear up some of the things if he wants to, or you can just have a private chat with him, whatever works. Yeah. I
might bring him on the Persian show, so I might be in Persian.
Okay. Yeah, you need a translator for that show because I'd love to watch that and I just can't understand a word said.
Okay, maybe I'll bring him on the Persian show and then I'll ask him if he would be interested in doing it in English as well. But that would be a show just for, you know how many people are interested in this? Like, I'm doing you a major favor. Nobody cares about what we're talking about.
Hey, Alvin, listen, do you know today I subbed to the £5 one, so I'm paying you £5 a month on this. So you know, you got me on the. Yeah, I think in the UK they charge a bit more than the US. But yeah, no, it's a pleasure because the work you do, Armin, honestly, like, out of all the people online currently, I think in the ex-Muslim movement, I think the work you do is the most valuable, in my opinion, by far. I would say you and who's the Persian one in the UK? What's it? Your mentor,
Mariam Namazi.
Mariam Namazi, yes. Her and you, I would say, in my opinion, the work you guys have done for us. I mean, I've been an ex-Muslim for about 15 years now, and I consider you a hero. Honestly, I consider you a hero of mine, and I look up to you. And you know, you're the one that kind of helped push me to kind of. I used to debate Muslims online back like about 2 years ago. You know, there used to be Speakers Corner related people. And there's one story. One of them actually attempted to join ISIS. Do you know one of the people that I used to debate? And he got caught. It was an American. He was from America. And it was a sting operation by the FBI, and he ended up getting caught. So so crazy people I used to debate back in the day. But I was inspired by. Yeah,
I appreciate that, but I do think that you're misrepresenting Harris Sultan. I think, but we could talk about that another time.
Okay. Do you know what? I need to sign up to their bloody. Do you know, in order for me to get their bloody the whole thingy, I need to sign up. I have to pay more money out. I'm gonna be broke by the end of the year if I'm not careful. Okay, but no, thank you for having me on the show, Armin. I'll let you wrap up and do what you need to do. But it's always a pleasure talking with you, man. I just wondering, is that debate still on for the 22nd, or is that?
Well, I mean, the Hindutva oxymoron guy, he responded. He said he can't make it, and he suggested other time. Did you not see his email? He just
did he send it today?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm going to respond to it. He gave us some options. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to respond. Okay.
Cool. No worries, Mama.
All right.
Thank you much.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you then. All right, guys. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. If you are interested in coming up and talking to me live, just like Ibn Qayyim did, consider becoming a YouTube member. Okay, that way you could come live on air and talk to me at the end of the Q&As. But at the beginning of the Q&As, I answer Patreon questions. And if you if you would rather just not come on live air and just send me your questions and answer you every week during our Q&As, just become a patron. Link to our Patreon is in the description. Oh, there's a doctor on LinkedIn saying nice one. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So again, patrons will get their questions answered, and YouTube members get to come live on air and talk to me. And link to all of that is in the description. Anyways, I'm going to head out. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here. Make sure, guys, Patreon and YouTube member is only for people who are not struggling financially. If you're struggling financially, do not spend your money. You have to help yourself before you support anything else. But you could still support us without spending any money by just liking the goddamn video. In fact, that's mandatory. You have zero excuses for not liking the video. It doesn't cost you anything. Why haven't you done it already? Do it. Do it now.